You celebrating that a crackhead went to the White House. Suck my Chrome Heart, dummy. Chrome Heart, dummy. Balenci's, dummy. I got Mongolian red fox on. Like I'm not saying YTV or something. We had to kill 9 foxes for this outfit, dumbass. With 20 racks in my pocket, poor ass. I don't go on dates, I take overseas. I don't go on dates, I take overseas.
Where we could like mix, and we could like, mingle amongst each other and shit. So like imagine a world if all of us was just one color. If all of us was just blue or green. Oh, if everybody was smart, you gotta have some dumb people. Oh, what if everybody was rich? Who gonna take the trash out? We're gonna make America great again and make hate free. That's a hate.
I'm out here with this fox fur on like I'm YTV. This ain't any fox either. This that Mongolian red fox, stupid ass. Probably ain't even saying it right, but all I know is the guys had to kill about 9 of them for me to be warm. You know what I'm saying? Animal cruelty, whatever you call it, I'm warm.
All right, so you wanted to know what really went down between Kodak Black and Jack Boy, huh?
Yeah, it's a wild one for sure.
Yeah, and we've got YouTube videos, text summaries, like the whole 9 yards here.
Yeah, we do.
And let me tell you, this is some pretty intense stuff.
It is.
We're diving deep into their friendship, the beef, the whole mess.
Absolutely.
So, are you ready to unpack all of this?
Let's get into it.
All right.
Well, one of the things that's so wild about this whole story is that it wasn't just like they were friends.
Right.
It was way more than that.
Yeah.
They were like family,
Yeah.
They had each other's backs through thick and thin, like growing up in poverty,
Right.
time in juvie, trying to make it out of Pompano Beach, Florida.
That's a tough place.
It is, and that makes their falling out even more tragic. Really.
It makes you think, like, what was missing? What was missing in their lives?
Yeah.
That they needed to rely on each other so much.
Right.
Like, when Kodak was sending Jack Boy money and letters while he was locked up at 14, that's not just loyalty. That's like a deep need being met right there.
Absolutely. It's like a level of emotional dependence,
Right.
And that can get really complicated when fame and money and other people start getting involved.
Yeah, for sure. So how did things start to go south?
Well, we got to talk about NBA YoungBoy.
Right.
Back in 2017, there was a little bit of a beef between him and Kodak.
Yeah, I remember that.
Seems like it was squashed. But then flash forward to 2020.
Okay.
Things heat up again when YoungBoy's girlfriend and his baby mama get into it, like a big fight.
Right, and that's when Kodak, who's in prison at this point,
Yeah.
basically calls YoungBoy out on social media, pretty much accusing him of snitching.
Yeah.
Which is
serious accusation.
huge accusation.
Yeah.
It really stirs things up, even though YoungBoy seems like he wants to just drop it.
Yeah, he does.
And then Jack Boy, being the loyal friend that he is, jumps right into the middle of it to defend Kodak.
Yeah.
Even though YoungBoy's kind of like, I'm good, I'm out.
Yeah, like, let's just leave it alone.
And you'd think that would make them, Kodak and Jack Boy, even closer.
Yeah, you would think.
But weirdly enough,
It doesn't.
that is what starts to break them apart.
That's the catalyst.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
It's ironic,
It is. It's like, why do you think that is?
Well, I mean, Jack Boy was acting out of that same loyalty we were talking about before.
Right.
But maybe when Kodak got out of prison in 2021,
Okay.
maybe he didn't respond in the same way, and that created some kind of imbalance.
Right.
Like Jack Boy might have felt like his loyalty wasn't being reciprocated in the way that he expected.
So instead of them, reuniting and celebrating, Kodak gets out and starts sending these, like, low-key disses at Jack Boy.
Yeah, he does. Subliminal shots.
It's like that driving the boat thing.
Right, the boat metaphor.
But what was he even talking about?
Well, I think that gets to the heart of it. The control.
Control?
Yeah.
Of what?
The sniper gang label, the money, and I think ultimately the respect, too.
Oh.
You got to remember, Jack Boy kept things going when Kodak was locked up.
Right, he was releasing music. He was the face of Sniper Gang for a while.
Exactly. So it's understandable that he expected, to keep that leadership role when Kodak came back.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you've got Kodak, fresh out of prison, pardoned by President Trump.
Mm-hmm.
He's back in the game, probably feeling like he needs to show everyone who's boss.
Yeah. Reassert his dominance.
Right, so instead of celebrating together, you've got this power struggle brewing.
Exactly, and, that whole pardon situation.
Yeah.
That made Kodak a controversial figure.
Oh, for sure.
Politically, so how did that affect his mindset?
Yeah.
His behavior towards Jack Boy?
Right.
I mean, that's a whole other
layer to it.
That's worth thinking about.
For sure, adds another layer of complexity to the whole thing. So then, things escalate pretty quickly.
We do.
You've got Kodak bragging about making $1 million off Jack Boy.
Mm-hmm.
Jack Boy claiming he offered Kodak money and got turned down.
It gets messy.
Yeah, there's definitely some hurt feelings on both sides.
Oh, yeah. And it all plays out so publicly, too.
Oh, yeah, social media just fuels the whole thing.
It does.
It's all these veiled threats and accusations.
Well, no real conversations happening.
Makes it even harder to back down.
It does, yeah.
And then there's the whole thing with Kodak after Nipsey Hussle died in 2019.
Oh, right.
His comments about Lauren London.
Yeah.
People were really upset about that, rightfully so. But it's what Jack Boy said about Kodak facing real-world consequences for it.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe even having to join a prison gang for protection.
Wow.
That's when you realize how serious all of this is.
That's heavy stuff.
Right. Like, it's not just online beef anymore.
No, it's not just talk.
It's real life, real danger.
Absolutely, and it shows you how easy it is for things to cross that line between online and real life.
Right, and then you throw Wizard into the mix.
Oh, yeah.
Another Sniper Gang artist, close to both Kodak and Jack Boy.
Mm-hmm.
He adds a whole other layer of tragedy to this story.
He does.
Like, he had his own issues with Kodak, even offered to buy himself out of his contract.
Yeah.
Things seemed like they were calming down.
Mm-hmm.
And then
tragedy
strikes.
It does.
Wizard is murdered in 2021, and that just
changes everything.
Yeah, it changes everything. It brings all those tensions between Kodak and Jack Boy to a boiling point.
It does, yeah.
We're going to get into all of that when we come back.
Definitely.
She's got to have big old boobs, cowgirl boots, and a big old dumpster to match the honkers. Let me see you, let me see you shake your booty. Let me see you, let me see you wiggle those honkers.
Yeah, Wizard's death, it really was a turning point, Yeah. It brought all that tension to the surface.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was already bad between Kodak and Jack Boy.
Right.
But after Wiz was killed, it was like everything just exploded.
Yeah, and the fact that Kodak dissed Wiz on a track after he died.
I know, right?
And then he tries to use that tragedy to get back together with Jack Boy.
It's messed up.
It really is. Like, what do you make of that?
Well, it's hard to say for sure what Kodak was thinking.
Right.
I mean, obviously he was grieving.
Yeah.
But it also felt like he was still trying to control everything, you know?
Yeah.
Like maybe he thought he could use Wiz's death to manipulate Jack Boy.
Right, like, come back to Sniper Gang, we're all in this together.
Exactly, but it just comes off as so insensitive,
It does, yeah. Especially after dissing Wiz on a track. Like,
right.
What was Jack Boy's reaction to all of that?
He was pretty distant, actually.
Really?
Yeah, he said he wanted to stay positive, focus on moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
But he made it clear that he didn't want to talk about Kodak.
So even after Wiz's death, they couldn't put their differences aside?
Nope. And don't forget about Jack Boy's deal with Empire Records.
Oh, yeah, that was huge.
I think that really bothered Kodak.
Do you think so?
Oh, absolutely. He probably saw it as a betrayal.
I mean, Jack Boy got that deal while Kodak was in prison.
Yeah, he did.
And Kodak was already feeling the pressure to, be back on top.
Right. So Jack Boy going off and getting this big deal on his own.
Yeah.
That probably felt like a slap in the face.
Right, like, was Jack Boy just making a smart business move?
Maybe, but it's hard to say.
Yeah.
Maybe he was trying to get out from under Kodak's shadow.
Right. Or maybe it was a bit of both.
Could be. It's hard to know for sure without being in their heads.
That's true, but it definitely adds another layer of tension to their relationship.
Yeah, for sure. And then things get even darker in 2023.
Oh, man, you're talking about the shooting?
Yeah, the one that targeted Jack Boy.
That was scary. An innocent woman was killed.
It was awful. A real tragedy.
Yeah, and it just shows how dangerous these feuds can be.
Absolutely. The police think it was rivals trying to take Jack Boy out.
To gain some street cred.
Yeah, something like that. But they also said the Kodak beefs could have been a factor.
Wow, so even if Kodak wasn't directly involved, his name being brought up in connection with a shooting like that.
Yeah, it shows you how far things had gone.
It's scary to think about.
It is, yeah.
So where do things stand between them now? Is there any chance they'll ever make up?
Honestly, it's hard to say.
Really?
Jack Boy has said he wants to focus on the positive, but he avoids talking about Kodak directly.
So there's still bad blood there.
Seems like it.
What about Kodak? Is he even capable of making amends?
That's a tough one. He's been going through a lot lately.
Yeah, his personal struggles have been all over the news.
It's clear he's got some demons he's fighting.
Yeah, it makes you wonder if he can even have a healthy relationship with anyone.
Right, let alone someone he's had such a public falling out with.
It's sad because at one point they were so close.
They were.
Like brothers, you know.
And now it's all betrayal and anger.
It's a classic story, but with really high stakes.
And real-life consequences.
Yeah, with a tragic ending for Wizard Wizard.
It really is a reminder that these feuds aren't just games, you know.
They're not just entertainment.
People get hurt, sometimes even killed.
It's a lot to process.
It is.
Man, it's a lot to think about, you know?
It is.
And there's just so many, like, layers to this whole story, things we could keep digging into.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Like Kodak getting that pardon from President Trump.
Right.
That wasn't just some legal thing. It put him right in the spotlight. Like, he was a political symbol.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
How could that not mess with his head, you know?
I mean, think about it. He gets out of prison.
Yeah.
And he's instantly this symbol for all these different political ideas.
Right.
It had to have been a lot of pressure.
And then you've got Jack Boy building his own career while Kodak's locked up.
Yeah.
Maybe that Empire deal wasn't about betrayal. Maybe it was just him, like, finding his own way.
Yeah, maybe he was finally stepping out of Kodak's shadow.
That's what's so interesting about all of this.
That is that.
Like, maybe there isn't a clear bad guy here.
Yeah.
Just two guys with their own reasons caught up in a system that wants them to be enemies.
The music industry, it loves competition, but it also makes a big deal out of loyalty.
Right.
And that can lead to some serious conflict.
Especially with all the pressure from fame, social media, the streets.
All of that.
So what really stood out to you in all of this?
I think what gets me is, like, even with all the drama,
Yeah.
you can still see that early bond they had. Like, there's still some affection there, even with all the anger and resentment.
It's like it makes it even sadder, you know?
It does.
Like, what if things had been different? What if
Yeah.
they'd had better support systems, talk to each other more honestly?
Right.
Maybe it wouldn't have gone so wrong.
It's impossible to say, but it's definitely something to think about.
It is. It makes you realize this is about more than just, like, celebrity gossip.
It is. It's a bigger story.
It's about the pressure on young men, especially in communities that are struggling, the temptation of fame, the systems that are supposed to help but often don't.
Exactly.
And we've only scratched the surface here.
Yeah, we have.
There's so much more to explore about Kodak, about Jack Boy.
And about the music industry itself.
This is just a starting point, you know?
Yeah, think of it as a jumping off point.
There's so many layers to uncover, different perspectives to think about.
More questions to ask.
That's what I love about these deep dives.
Me too.
They're just the beginning.
Exactly. So keep asking those questions, keep researching, keep those critical thinking skills sharp.
Right.
Who knows? You might find something that we missed.
I love that. So to everyone listening, thanks for joining us on this deep dive into Kodak Black and Jack Boy.
It was a wild ride.
It was. We'll catch you next time for another deep dive into something fascinating. Until then, stay curious out there.